100 years before the Protestant Reformation, there was a Protestant Revolution in Central Europe. The peasant armies used a combination of guns and medieval tanks to crush the knights and nobles who came to put them down. They successfully held off the entirety of Christendom, and you've probably never even heard of them. This is OMG Hussites. Early 1400s Europe was distinctly pre-Protestant, so naturally everybody loved the Pope, which made things kind of awkward because there were 3 separate popes, and they were all like, "You ain't the Pope, I'm the Pope, you're the anti-Pope, yeah." And then the other popes would be all, "Oh, no you ain't, I'm the Pope, you're the anti-Pope." And then the other pope would be, "Oh, get over yourselves, god damn it, I am the Pope, Jesus Christ." There were just a lot of popes. And none of this really helped the idea that the Pope, the singular Pope, was the infallible head of the church, the source of all correct theology. And so we start getting some people like John Wycliffe who start saying some things like, "Hey guys, I really like this Bible. Maybe we should consider basing some of our theology on it. And we could like translate it into languages we actually speak and, just see what happens." And so the popes miraculously found themselves all agreeing that John Wycliffe could go f*** himself. But Wycliffe decided to continue preaching instead. Up in Central Europe, in the Kingdom of Bohemia, there was a young rector named Jan Hus. He worked in the University of Prague, and he really liked some of Wycliffe's ideas. He started preaching those ideas, and when Wycliffe died of a stroke, he publicly eulogized him. The Pope, who was based out of Italy, had already declared Wycliffe's teachings to be heretical. So when he heard about Hus, he contacted Hus's bishop and king. He was like, "You guys have really got to do something about this heretic." And as soon as Hus heard something about this, he was like, "Aight, brah, I'll just lay off the Wycliffe, no big deal, brah." Not too long after this, the third pope showed up, and both the king and Hus transferred their allegiance to this new pope. At the same time, people are getting more and more excited about Wycliffe, and by people I mostly mean Hus. So Hus's bishop goes to the new pope to ask him to persecute the teachings of Wycliffe, and Hus goes to ask him not to. The pope sided with the bishop and started burning Wycliffe's books. He excommunicated Jan Hus and his followers. Bohemia sided with Hus, and the pope excommunicated all of Bohemia too. And all of a sudden, Hus is the most popular man in the country. Hus and the popes just keep getting madder and madder at each other. The king tries to bring the sides together to reconcile, but neither side is willing. The king's brother finally declared a council of reconciliation, and in order to ensure that Hus came, he promised Hus safe passage to and from the council. Hus showed up, but he was so suspicious of the council that he made up his will before going, which was wise because when he got there his opponents co-opted the council and had him arrested and executed for heresy. When Bohemia heard about this, they were like, "You really just do that shit?" And the king was like, "What? You want some too?" In response, Bohemians started grabbing their weapons and heading for the countryside. On the 30th of July in the year 1419, a Hussite priest named Jan Zalewski led his congregation to the Prague town hall. That's where the town council was refusing to release some prisoners they were holding for being Hussites. When they got there, someone in the town hall threw a rock at Zalewski. This was not a good decision. The congregation turned into a mob and they started seeing red. A very badass man who we will see more of later, and who is named Jan Zizka, busts down the door and leads the mob upstairs. They grab all the members of government they can find and they throw them out the window. The rest of the mob is down below holding spears, which the government members land on and then promptly die on. This is called the First Defenestration of Prague, and when the king heard about it, he's reported to have died of shock. And only then did really start to get real. On OMG Hussites Part 2, we find out why Jan Zizka was one of the biggest badasses history has ever seen. We find out where medieval tanks come into the mix. We see some pseudo-communists and see a lot of knights getting killed. And we see just how far this Hussite movement will go. On the next OMG History, OMG Hussites Part 2.